Here's a powerful motivational speech, opening in a style inspired by Gaur Gopal Das, original content, followed by 7 key points. My dear friends, let me ask you one simple question. What is the only thing that separates two people who begin life with the same 24 hours, the same sun, the same moon, and the same opportunities around them? Yet one creates an extraordinary life, while the other spends years waiting for life to change. Is it luck? Is it talent? Is it money? No. The greatest difference is something invisible. It is called mindset. You see, before a person changes their income, they must change their thinking. Before they change their future, they must change their habits. Before they become successful in the world, they must first become successful in their own mind. My dear friends, success is not built in a single day. It is built one decision at a time, one habit at a time, one disciplined action at a time. Many people spend their lives searching for the perfect opportunity, but highly successful people create opportunities where others only see obstacles. Many people complain about problems. Successful people search for solutions. Many people fear failure. Successful people fear never trying. That is the difference. The greatest battle is never outside. It is always inside. Because if your mind says, I can't, your body will never try. But if your mind says, I will find a way, your life begins moving in a completely different direction. Today, I want to share *7 powerful mindset shifts that highly successful people practice every single day. These are not secret formulas or overnight tricks. They are timeless principles that shape extraordinary lives. 1. They take full responsibility for their life. 2. They see failure as feedback, not defeat. 3. They stay disciplined, even when motivation disappears. 4. They focus on growth instead of comfort. 5. They protect their time and energy. 6. They think long-term instead of chasing instant results. 7. They never stop learning and improving. My dear friends, always remember, success is not something you chase. It is something you become. Your habits become your character. Your character shapes your decisions. Your decisions create your future. If you want a different life, start with a different mindset. Do not wait for perfect circumstances. Do not wait until you feel ready. Do not wait for tomorrow. The person you become today determines the life you will live tomorrow. Train your mind to believe. Train your heart to stay humble. Train your actions to remain consistent. Because ordinary people wait for inspiration. Highly successful people create it through discipline. Chant your mindset and you will change your destiny. One of the most powerful qualities that highly successful people possess is the willingness to take full responsibility for their lives. This single mindset separates those who continue growing from those who remain stuck. Successful people understand that while they cannot control every circumstance, they can always control how they respond to those circumstances. Instead of spending their time blaming other people, bad luck, difficult situations, or unfair conditions, they focus their energy on what they can actually change. Think about it for a moment. Every person experiences challenges. Everyone faces disappointment. Everyone encounters failure. Everyone deals with people who misunderstand them, criticize them, or let them down. The difference is not that successful people have easier lives. The difference is how they think. When something goes wrong, many people immediately begin searching for someone to blame. They blame their family. They blame the economy. They blame their past. They blame their boss. They blame society. They blame circumstances. And while some of these challenges are very real, living in a constant state of blame quietly steals something incredibly valuable. It steals personal power. Because the moment you believe someone else is completely responsible for your future, you also believe that someone else must change before your life can improve. That belief keeps people waiting for better opportunities, waiting for better conditions, waiting for someone else to rescue them. Successful people think differently. They ask a different question. Instead of asking, "Who is responsible for my problem?" they ask, "What can I do about it?" This small shift changes everything. Because the moment you begin focusing on your response instead of your excuses, you move from feeling powerless to becoming proactive. Imagine two people standing in the middle of a heavy rainstorm. One spends the entire time complaining about the weather. The other opens an umbrella and continues walking. Neither person can stop the rain. But one allows the rain to stop their journey, while the other adjusts and keeps moving. Life works in the same way. You cannot always control what happens around you, but you can control how you respond. Taking responsibility also means accepting ownership of your choices. Every decision you make shapes your future. The habits you practice today become the life you experience tomorrow. Successful people understand this deeply. They do not expect success while continuing unhealthy habits. They know that results are connected to consistent actions. If something in their life is not working, they honestly evaluate themselves before pointing fingers at someone else. This requires humility. It is not always comfortable to admit mistakes. It is much easier to create excuses. But excuses may protect your pride for a moment, while quietly preventing your growth for years. Responsibility, on the other hand, creates improvement. Another important truth is that taking responsibility does not mean blaming yourself for everything. Life includes unexpected events that no one can predict or prevent. People lose opportunities, businesses fail, relationships end, difficult situations arise without warning. Responsibility does not mean saying, "Everything is my fault." It means saying, "I may not have caused everything that happened, but I am responsible for what I choose to do next." That mindset creates resilience. It reminds you that your future is still in your hands, even when your past was not. Highly successful people also understand that every challenge contains an opportunity to learn. When they make mistakes, they do not waste months criticizing themselves. Instead, they ask, "What lesson can I take from this experience?" They understand that mistakes are temporary. Lessons are permanent. Every setback becomes valuable because it teaches them something they did not know before. Instead of allowing failure to define them, they allow it to educate them. That is one of the reasons they continue growing, while others remain trapped in regret. Taking responsibility also transforms the way people think about success. They stop waiting for motivation. They stop waiting for perfect timing. They stop waiting for ideal circumstances. They realize that no one else can build their dreams for them. No one else can develop their discipline. No one else can make their daily choices. Their future is created by the decisions they make consistently, not by the excuses they repeat. This realization is incredibly empowering, because if your choices created many of your current results, then new choices can create new results. Another beautiful benefit of personal responsibility is confidence. Every time you solve a problem instead of avoiding it, your confidence grows. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your self-respect increases. Every time you choose action instead of excuses, you prove to yourself that you are capable of growth. Confidence is not built by talking about success. It is built by accepting responsibility for your own progress. At the end of the day, the most successful people are not necessarily the luckiest people. They are often the people who stopped waiting for someone else to change their lives. They accepted ownership of their choices. They learned from their mistakes. They adapted to challenges. They continued moving forward even when life became difficult, because they understood one powerful truth. You cannot always choose the circumstances life gives you, but you can always choose the attitude you bring. You can choose the habits you build. You can choose the actions you take. And those choices, repeated day after day, become the foundation of extraordinary success. The moment you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What can I do to grow from this?" your mindset begins to change. And when your mindset changes, your future begins to change with it. That is where real success begins. Not in perfect conditions, but in the simple, courageous decision to take full responsibility for your life. One of the defining characteristics of highly successful people is that they remain disciplined even when motivation disappears. Many people believe that success comes from feeling inspired every day. They wait for the perfect mood, the right emotions, or a sudden burst of excitement before they begin working toward their goals. But successful people understand a powerful truth. Motivation is temporary, while discipline is dependable. They know that if they rely only on motivation, their progress will be inconsistent. Instead, they build habits that keep them moving forward, regardless of how they feel. Think about the sunrise. Every morning, the sun rises at the right time. It does not ask whether it feels motivated. It does not wait for perfect weather. It simply follows its purpose with consistency. Success works in much the same way. The people who achieve extraordinary results are rarely the ones who feel inspired every single day. They are the ones who continue showing up, even on the days when they feel tired, discouraged, or unmotivated. Discipline is choosing what matters most over what feels easiest in the moment. Many people begin a new journey with excitement. They start exercising. They begin reading books. They work on a new business. They promise themselves they will wake up early. For the first few days, everything feels exciting. The motivation is high. The goal seems close. But eventually, reality arrives. They become tired. Progress becomes slower than expected. Challenges appear. The excitement begins to fade. This is the point where many people stop, not because they are incapable, quasi, but because they expected motivation to carry them all the way. Highly successful people expect this moment. They know motivation comes and goes like the weather. Some days they feel energetic. Some days they do not. But they never allow temporary emotions to determine permanent decisions. Instead of asking, "Do I feel like doing this today?" they ask, "What kind of person do I want to become?" That single question changes everything, because discipline is not about forcing yourself to suffer. It is about staying loyal to your long-term vision instead of your short-term feelings. Imagine a farmer planting seeds. After placing the seeds into the ground, the farmer does not dig them up every morning to check whether they are growing. The farmer waters the soil, protects the crops, trusts the process. Day after day, even when nothing is visible, success follows a similar pattern. Many of the most important results in life remain invisible for a long time. You may study every day without immediately seeing better grades. You may exercise for weeks before noticing physical changes. You may work on a business for months before seeing significant success. The person without discipline becomes discouraged by the lack of immediate results. The disciplined person understands that consistency creates growth long before visible success appears. Another reason discipline is so powerful is because it builds trust in yourself. Every time you keep a promise you made to yourself, your confidence grows. Every time you complete a task, even when you do not feel like doing it, your self-respect increases. You begin proving to yourself that your actions are stronger than your excuses. This inner confidence cannot be purchased. It is earned through consistent behavior. Highly successful people also understand that discipline creates freedom. At first, this may sound surprising. Many people think discipline limits freedom. They believe routines, schedules, and commitments make life restrictive. But the opposite is often true. A disciplined student gains greater career opportunities. A disciplined athlete develops greater physical ability. A disciplined entrepreneur creates greater financial stability. A disciplined person enjoys greater peace because they are not constantly living with regret over unfinished responsibilities. Temporary discipline often creates lasting freedom. Temporary comfort often creates lasting frustration. Another beautiful truth about discipline is that it becomes easier over time. The first early morning is difficult. The second is still challenging. But after repeating the habit consistently, it becomes part of your identity. You no longer force yourself. You simply become the kind of person who does what needs to be done. That is when discipline transforms into character. Successful people do not constantly rely on willpower. They rely on habits. Habits remove the need for daily decision making. Instead of debating whether to work, they simply begin. Instead of negotiating with their excuses, they follow their routine. This consistency protects them from emotional ups and downs. At the end of the day, motivation may help you start, but discipline helps you finish. Motivation creates excitement. Discipline creates results. Motivation comes from emotions. Discipline comes from commitment. The people who achieve extraordinary success are not necessarily more talented than everyone else. Often, they are simply more consistent. They continue when others quit. They remain focused when others become distracted. They keep moving when progress feels slow, because they understand one powerful truth. Your future is not shaped by what you do once in a while. It is shaped by what you do repeatedly. Every disciplined action is a vote for the person you are becoming. Every time you choose consistency over comfort, you move one step closer to your goals. Every time you honor your commitments, despite your emotions, you strengthen your character. And over time, those small daily decisions become extraordinary achievements. That is why highly successful people never depend entirely on motivation. They build a life powered by discipline because they know motivation may inspire the beginning, but discipline is what carries them all the way to success. One of the most powerful mindset shifts that highly successful people develop is learning to focus on growth instead of comfort. Most people naturally seek comfort. They want situations that feel safe, predictable, and easy. There is nothing wrong with enjoying comfort, but when comfort becomes the highest priority, personal growth often comes to a stop. Highly successful people understand that almost everything worthwhile in life exists just beyond the boundaries of what feels comfortable. They are willing to face temporary discomfort because they know it is often the price of long-term success. Think about a butterfly. Before it can fly, it must struggle to break out of its cocoon. That struggle looks painful. If someone tries to help by cutting open the cocoon, the butterfly may never develop the strength needed to fly. The struggle is not there to punish it. The struggle prepares it. Life often works in the same way. The challenges you face today may be developing the strength you will need tomorrow. Highly successful people understand this principle. Instead of running away from every difficult situation, they ask themselves, what can this experience teach me? They know that every challenge carries the potential for growth. Many people avoid situations that make them uncomfortable. They avoid public speaking because they fear embarrassment. They avoid learning new skills because they fear making mistakes. They avoid taking opportunities because they fear failure. As a result, they remain exactly where they are, not because they lack ability, but because they allow fear to define their decisions. Successful people feel fear too. They experience doubt. They feel nervous. They wonder whether they are ready. The difference is that they do not allow those emotions to become permanent barriers. They understand that courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is choosing to move forward despite fear. Growth begins the moment you become willing to be uncomfortable. Another important truth is that comfort often creates the illusion of security. A comfortable routine feels safe because it is familiar. Doing the same things every day requires little effort. You know what to expect. But if that routine is not helping you become better, then comfort slowly becomes a cage. You may feel safe, but you are no longer growing. Highly successful people regularly challenge themselves. They read books that expand their thinking. They learn skills they do not yet possess. They seek feedback, even when it is difficult to hear. They place themselves in situations that require improvement, not because they enjoy being uncomfortable, but because they value growth more than temporary ease. Every new level of success demands a new version of yourself. You cannot expect extraordinary results while remaining exactly the same person. Growth requires change, and change almost always feels uncomfortable at first. Imagine going to a gym for the first time. The exercises feel difficult. Your muscles become sore. You may even wonder whether the effort is worth it. But those small moments of discomfort are not signs that something is wrong. They are signs that your body is adapting and becoming stronger. Mental and emotional growth follow the same principle. Learning new habits feels difficult. Developing discipline feels uncomfortable. Breaking old patterns requires effort. Yet every challenge strengthens your character in ways that comfort never can. Highly successful people also understand that growth is a lifelong journey. They never believe they know everything. No matter how much they achieve, they remain curious. They continue asking questions. They continue improving. They continue learning from others. This humble mindset keeps them moving forward long after many people stop growing. The moment someone believes they have nothing left to learn, they begin limiting their future. Another beautiful lesson is that every season of discomfort eventually becomes a source of confidence. The conversation you were once afraid to have becomes easier. The skill that once seemed impossible becomes natural. The challenge that once frightened you becomes part of your experience. Looking back, you realize that the very situations you wanted to avoid were the ones that helped you become stronger. That is why successful people do not fear growth. They welcome it, not because it is easy, but because they know who they are becoming through the process. At the end of the day, comfort feels pleasant, but growth creates transformation. Comfort keeps life familiar. Growth expands your possibilities. Comfort protects you from temporary discomfort. Growth prepares you for lasting success. If you always choose what is easiest, you may avoid short-term struggle, but you may also miss your greatest opportunities. The life you dream of often requires becoming someone stronger, wiser, and more capable than you are today. That transformation cannot happen without growth. And growth cannot happen without stepping beyond what feels comfortable. So whenever life asks you to learn something new, to face a challenge, to leave an old habit behind, or to take a step that feels uncertain, remember this: discomfort is not always a sign that you are on the wrong path. Sometimes it is the clearest sign that you are growing. The people who achieve extraordinary success are not those who spend their lives searching for comfort. They are the ones who embrace growth, trust the process, and continue moving forward, even when the journey feels difficult, because they understand that every uncomfortable step taken with courage brings them one step closer to becoming the person they were meant to be. Thank you.